Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Forge's Startup Survivor Pitch Competition. My name is Gay Yutung, and I'm here with Riley, Jessica, Alina, Marissa, Julian, and Tancred, and we welcome you all to this first annual event and hope you enjoy it. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that even though we are meeting virtually today, the Forge at McMaster is located on the traditional lands of the Mississauga and Haudenosaunee nations, and within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. To say that is to raise awareness within ourselves of the to those who were here before us, and to recognize a responsibility as guests to respect and honor the close relationship Indigenous people have with this land. Um, Before we begin our program today, I'd just like to say thank you very much to sponsors who sponsor the Forge, McMaster University, all the faculties and the Provost Office, as well as CNA Canada. I'd also like to say thanks very much to our staff, who I mentioned already, who this would not have been possible without them. It's a small but mighty staff, and they've been working tirelessly to get this to happen both throughout the summer as well as today. So I know that I have a lot of gratitude for them. Otherwise, I wouldn't have anything to show you today. As well, we'd like to just say thank you to all the judges who took a day, Saturday, a beautiful Saturday day in September, to come in and help to judge and film with us. Great judges who have a lot of experience both as entrepreneurs and as investors. Sergio Aguirre and Kimber Elliott, who I'm happy to say are Forge alumni, as well as Julie Ellis and Faisal Jaber, who are great supporters of the Forge and the Hamilton community. And now I would like to turn it over to our very own Jeff Probst, Riley Moynes.
Well, thank you for that, Gay. And also, I just want to say thank you for everybody who applied to the program and went through the program, even if you didn't make it to the top 5. It was a fairly grueling program that we ran everybody through, that we started in May. It started with our first challenge, which we called Explore the Island, in the kind of the theme of Survivor, where we did customer discovery, and we had everybody really focusing on the problem. We moved into challenge 2, which we called Hunt and Gather, which was ideating, coming up with an early business model, doing solution interviewing, and going out and really making sure that we understand the people that are in our target market. In challenge 3, we taught everybody how to do some rapid prototyping, and we turned around a number of prototypes, and we took those out into the market and got feedback. And in challenge 4, we called that Message in a Bottle. This is where we wanted folks to expand the reach of their of going out into the market through social media, and also we had them generating some early branding materials and going out and seeing what kind of feedback they could get about their brand. In challenge 5, this was more of a scholarly type exercise. We call this one Form an Alliance, where we had teams focused on building go-to-market strategy, as well as thinking about, hey, what does the future look like? What kind of cash flow do I need when I'm getting this business up and running? And finally, we did the challenge 6. We had everybody pitch. We call this Facing the Tribal Council. And we had them run through a number of different pitches, pitching a early stage VC, as well as filming our very own show that you're about to watch right now. So, but first, I want to introduce you to the top 5 companies that made it all the way through the program. First off, we have PhosphoSens with founder Vinay Patel. He is a solo founder. Can't wait to hear from you, Vinay. Our next competitor is Grounded Collective, and this is solo founder Gurkeerat Gill. Next up after that, we have Protagonist Health with also solar. Pallavi's got some founders, which you'll see in the video. I'm blanking on their names right now, but founder Pallavi Duda, as well as Dahlia. which is Christopher Juman and Bindi Mehta. As well as finally rounding out the top 5 is Kinisi Technologies with Michelle Ragany, Nazli, Bostandoust. I really hope I'm not butchering everybody's names, and Ruben, Biack. So without further ado, let's get this tape rolling here. And enjoy, everyone.
Hi, I'm Sergio Aguirre, co-founder and CEO of Epineuron, and we maximize human potential by accelerating nerve regeneration.
My name is Kimberly Elliott. I'm a co-founder and chief operating officer of Vox Neuro. At Vox Neuro, our mission is to be the gold standard of cognitive assessment to improve brain health worldwide.
Hi, my name's Faisal Jaber, serial entrepreneur turned investor. I'm currently focused on Grey Hill Capital, a boutique advisory firm I co-founded, which invests in venture and real estate.
I'm Julie Ellis. I'm a leadership coach to executives and entrepreneurs. I'm the co-founder of Mabel's Labels and the chair of the board at Angel One Investment Network.
Hi everyone, I'm Vinay Patel, the founder of PhosphoSens, and we are on a mission to simplify water quality monitoring. Wastewater treatment plants are responsible for treating water before it goes into our water bodies. EPA and other regulatory agencies are responsible for regulating these wastewater treatment plants. That's why these treatment plants need to measure different parameters like pH, dissolved oxygen, and phosphorus. Unlike other parameters, phosphorus does not have a defined probe, which is easy to operate. Phosphorus is regulated by these different wastewater treatment plants for 2 purposes, regulatory and for operational purposes. And if they are violating their phosphorus limit, the fines can go up to 25,000 and sometimes 6 million per day, depending on the incident they are creating. The main issue with phosphorus monitoring tests right now is they are expensive. They are using chemicals. They are stationary devices. So wastewater treatment plant operators need to go and collect the samples. They have to dilute the samples beforehand. So they take longer time, like 30 minutes in most of the cases. And these devices are using chemicals. So they generate hazardous waste in the end. Currently, wastewater treatment plants are doing phosphorus measurement by 2 methods. Either they are sending out the samples out to a lab, or they can do it in-house. We are targeting the wastewater treatment plants which are doing it in-house to reduce the cost of sending the sample out and paying that laboratory test. We propose PhosphoAnalyzer, which is a handheld monitor which works on an electrochemical probe, which is modular and rugged, so that these operators can take it out, or they can do the test within the lab if required. The probe works with chemical-free technology, which we have a provisional patent filed. And the frequent testing for phosphorus is going to save them money, which can be around 10 to 20% of the budget for phosphorus. The probe is very easy to operate, and it gives a result within 10 minutes once the probe is dipped. It works in 3 simple steps. The operator can go collect the sample or take the device out. The operator then submerges the probe, and they can leave the probe in for 10 minutes. They will be notified once the test is done, and they can send the results. Once the test is done to different people in the organization with just one click with the software which we are going to give them for their phones. Our business model is going to generate revenue from 3 major streams. The first is by selling the device, which is going to be 8,000, and we are going to have a recurring revenue on top of this fixed cost for the software they are going to use for trend analysis and data storage and data sharing. On top of this recurring revenue, we also have sensor accessories, and maintenance contracts with the device. Our primary focus right now is United States and Canada because of the stricter regulations around phosphorus and the number of wastewater treatment plants. Our major focus is going to be the Great Lake area, which constitute almost 10% of this market. We have done our market calculation using bottom-up projection, and in this case, we have considered one device in each market. So it's a conservative estimate where we are not including our recurring revenues. We have our SAM with 10% of this market, which is going to be targeting surrounding Great Lake areas. We believe, based on our interview data, that we can capture 5% of this market within the first year of the device launch. We have already conducted more than 80 interviews, and we have filed a provisional patent based on our experimental data in the lab. We are planning to do an MVP launch of the device in 2022, and based on the pilot testing, we are going to file a full US patent on this. And we are planning a full product launch in 23 and expanding the outreach of the product using our local distributor network, and then later we'll hire a sales team. Our device is chemical-free, which offers these wastewater treatment plant operators an option to take the device either outside or they can do the test within the lab. Unlike our competitors, the software further adds to their user benefit because they can send the data, what they are recording, just by one click. I'm a solo founder currently, but I'm supported by different mentors. I have 4 years of industrial experience before joining McMaster, and I was working for a medical diagnostic company where I was leading product development of blood potassium monitoring. With the prize money, we are planning to take the sensor which is working in the lab to the prototype stage, and this will also help us to raise money from different matching funds like MITEX, which will better place us for raising seed funds for the full prototype and pilot testing. We are actively looking for advice in water and wastewater industry. I'm also looking for co-founders, possibly with a background in hardware and business. We are PhosphoSens, and we are looking to simplify water quality monitoring so it can be done by anyone, anywhere. Thank you.
So what would be an estimated payback period for now investing in your platform?
So in terms of payback period, I would say they can get I think so they can get the full cost back within a year.
Okay.
Like if they're buying this device, and like most of these plants are already buying these probes and devices for pH, so they do understand that this is the kind of cost they are paying for these kind of devices. So they are pretty okay with paying for this kind of device. If they're paying 8,000, it's fine. But most of the time, if we are increasing the cost further, so let's say if we are going down to like 15,000 or something, in that case, most of the time, it's the signatory authority in these plans changes, and they cannot include this thing in operational budget. So that again brings a problem for us for a longer sales cycle. So that's why we are kind of avoiding that route because of that. And we are making the device modular so that we can charge them over and over, but not a fixed higher amount.
How many tests does a typical lab do? Because even time-wise, you mentioned your device takes 10 minutes versus 30, but is there really an urgency in having that speed?
I would say when they're doing it for operational purposes, they need to get the results instantaneously. And our market is mainly the lab testing, so where they generally take like 1 or 2 days to get back the results. So that's why we're targeting those fellows, because in that case, the time, for them, time is a bigger barrier. Because if something is going wrong in the plant, they're going to get the results like 2 days back, after 2 days or 1 day. So then definitely it matters. But for 30 minutes and 10 minutes, I would say it doesn't matter much. But the thing which we are offering them is convenience. So they don't have to do sample processing. They don't have to do mixing. They just have to dip the probe and they just get the values out. So for particularly larger plants where they are having their own systems where they actually can do the test in 30 minutes, we are just offering convenience and they can just dip the probe and they can just get the value. So that's the value proposition for them.
And is that the value proposition that lands with them? Like the hazardous waste isn't as important to the plant, overall? What motivates them?
So interestingly, right now, most of these plants work around regulations. So if something is getting regulated, they are going to act on that, even though they know that this is going to be hazardous for the environment, because finally they are also in business. So they want to minimize the cost. So if it is not a regulated parameter, they are not going to target it. And the kind of chemicals they are using currently, it's not a regulated parameter as such.
And now talking about PhosphoSens, I really like, again, technology based around something, hardware. There's software involved. I do think getting into the space of water treatment, it's just challenging from the cost of switching to new technologies and adopting and changing, standard operating procedures for these facilities is a major barrier. But a lot of that is fundamented on, changes in regulation that they also tie into. I think there's a lot of value in expediting results, especially when the time you can save someone from obtaining those results can translate into, mitigating other downstream challenges, which is highly important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things that I found concerning about PhosphoSens was the addressable market size that they identified to start with. It was under 1 million. And I just wonder, is that actually the market that they would be going after, or is it much bigger? Are they thinking too small?
Yeah, I think it's just a very small starting point that they've defined, just because probably based on the channels they have tapped into now. But I think that would be something that needs to be much larger for this to be, a meaningful mission.
Yeah.
I did feel good about their team. It seems like they rounded out their team with some professionals and commercialization experts. So it seemed they had a good business plan moving forward.
Yeah, and I really like the idea, of how revolutionary a device like theirs could be. But on the other side of being revolutionary, you have to think about adoption and uptake. And, the perception that a very large testing unit is preferred to something you can hold in your hand. What's the bridge they need to build to bring the water treatment plants across it with them to adopt that smaller handheld device. And I think if they consider that and really build a strategy around it to be successful, that will help them.
Hi, my name is Gurkeerat Gill, and I'm the founder of Grounded Collective, where our goal is to make sustainable shopping more sustainable for consumers. So meet Manpreet. She just finished university, has her first job, is paying off her student loans. However, she's becoming increasingly aware of what we're doing to our planet and wants to shop more sustainably. After talking with Manpreet and many others like her, we found that the main reason these consumers are not shopping sustainably is due to the high cost that's associated with it. In addition to this, many just don't have the time to research these sustainable brands, and the ones that they do come across, they're afraid are greenwashing. On the other hand, small businesses that are sustainable don't have the legitimacy to attract this demographic of shoppers. Therefore, they're unable to scale. This is where Grounded comes in. So we're a store directory, information hub, and a browser extension. Basically, Manpreet will discover Grounded through our educational content. From there, she'll be redirected to our store directory, and when she gets there, she can either look at the information that we have about this company and their sustainable practices, or she can be redirected to their website. Once on the website, she can shop as she pleases, and then at checkout, use our plugin to save money. On the brand side, they're able to review the information that we post about them on our search summary. So what this does is that it allows Manpreet to save money at the very end. In addition to this, she doesn't have to spend hours doing her own research, so she's saving time, and she has the peace of mind that she's supporting a brand that is not greenwashing. On the brand side, we're giving them an enhanced credibility, which allows them to access a demographic of motivated shoppers. In addition to this, what we want to do in the future is be able to certify these small and to mid-sized businesses through Grounded. If we look at the market today, online sustainable product sales are 150 billion in 2021. Of that, 121 billion can be attributed to millennials and Gen Z. And in Canada, this number is 38.5 million. We know that that is a big market size, and so we also know that Manpreet is focused on clean beauty, slow fashion, and household products. So those are the types of small businesses that we want to target within Canada. If we look at our business model, if Manpreet wants to use our plugin to save money, she has to be a part of our subscription model, which is $5 per month. On the brand side, when a consumer uses our plugin to save money, they have to give a 10% discount to our consumer, and then 5% is given to Grounded as an affiliate fee. If we look at the landscape right now, there are other companies out there that are marketplaces for sustainable goods. However, what they don't focus on is education and price, which is the two main barriers that consumers face. So where Grounded comes in is that we really want to go with the customer through a journey. So we want to be able to give them the education in the beginning and then transition them off into making that final purchase at a lower cost. So in our first year, we really want to focus on developing our social media community because that's where our consumers are going to be coming from. During that time, we also want to develop our web scraping technology so that we can launch our store directory and then redirect our consumers over there. In our second year, we want to be able to develop our plugin and then launch with 15 or so brands. And then during that time, also develop our certification criteria. And in the last year, we want to work with sustainability organizations and become trusted enough to be able to certify these small to mid-sized businesses. So right now, the team is just myself. I'm a data and technology consultant. I am looking for a CTO as well as an advisor, just so that they can look over the development work, as well as somebody that has the industry knowledge for sustainability. Lastly, I'm here today to ask for your expertise. I really would like to access your network, partner with other sustainability startups as well as organizations, as well as get your advice on what my next step should be. In addition to this, I'm asking for a funding of $15,000 over the next 6 months to a year. Most of this would be used towards our development. However, I have allocated $5,000 towards social media and web development because that is what the baseline would be for us to develop our community. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation, and I hope you'd like to join me in making sustainable shopping more sustainable for consumers.
Could you maybe expand a little bit on the type of diligence that's done to confirm that what the companies advertise as what they are doing from a sustainability perspective is actually true?
For sure. So in the beginning, as a startup, it would be very costly to be able to go through a company's information and figure out, okay, are they really doing what they say? And so from that, the web scraping idea really came from the idea that if it's a sustainable company, there should be third-party sources that are saying that they are doing the things that they're doing. So to the consumer, we're not saying we're 100% sure. We're trying to get rid of the fact that they have to do their own research. So let's say one of the brands I had up here was Abigo. Let's say we click on Abigo, and then from there, you can also have an option to look at the search summary. So what that would include is a summary of what their sustainable practices are, as well as the links where that information was found, so that if the consumer does want to do further digging, they can. But other than that, the information is all there consolidated in one space. In terms of like the certification, that is something that we want to focus on later on. So once we have developed relationships with all the small businesses, we've established our place within the sustainability community, we're connected with sustainability organizations, we do want to develop a criteria so that we can provide these small businesses with a sustainability certificate so that they can be more legitimate in the eyes of the consumer.
If we can go back to your revenue model quickly, I want to make sure I understand it fully. So you have the $5 a month subscription for the consumers, and you have a 10% discount offered to them through the sellers, and then Grounded also takes 5% from whatever the sellers earn?
Yeah, so in total for the small business, it would be a cost of 15%, just because 10% is going to be going to the consumer as a discount, but then 5% is the fee for Grounded.
So have you discussed this model with some potential sellers to see if they're willing to give up 15% to be listed on the website?
So this business model is a bit more refined, so I haven't done this exact business model, but previously I have spoken with companies and they are willing to try new ways, because at the end of the day, they said that their goal is to increase their reach and increase their sales. So at that point, they are willing to take a cut on their sales. Some of the companies that I talked to, they said that they had a 30% margin, so that was something that was doable for them.
What type of efforts have you put into building out some of the gaps that you have?
For sure. So recently I actually joined Y Combinator's co-found partnering group. So through that, right now I'm searching for somebody that does have the technical expertise in web development and plugin development. As for an advisor, that's why I'm here today, to tap into your network to see if there was anybody that you know that is very prominent in the sustainability industry, or if you know anybody that is a part of any sustainability organization.
In terms of your key goals over the next year, could you expand a little on why those are the most important goals for you?
Basically, the reason why the social media community is a very big aspect for me is because at the end of the day, those are the consumers that I'm going to be redirecting to the store directory. Many people nowadays go to social media for educational content, and that is how platforms grow and communities build. And so the idea is that I want to be able to create a community where I'm able to give these consumers a lot of education so that they know that I am a trusted source of information from them. And then from there, they're able to trust the store directory and then go on to make their purchase. So the idea is that from there, that's where I want to begin the customer journey. The other goal I have there is develop the web scraping technology and launch the store directory. And that's important because while I am developing that community, which is something that will take months, during that time, I want to make sure that I have the store directory ready so that when I do have, thousands of followers or subscribers to my blog posts, that there is a place for me to redirect them towards.
So let's talk about Grounded for a minute. I think they're in an industry that's ripe for consolidation and for some leadership to come in and really pull together a lot of the different pieces. I think they might be underestimating what it takes to build a social media presence and to build a brand with following.
Absolutely. I really love the drive towards a mission that's important, but that is a part that I always feel is underestimated, just building that social media equity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they might want to focus a lot more of their early efforts on marketing and how they're going to gain the influencers to really get the market share that they're looking for and beat out copycats, which are inevitable with the focus on sustainability right now.
What I found is the coupon space is very competitive, and I feel their affiliate marketing strategy and the percentage they thought they could share with customers was quite high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of my concerns as well, the 15% off of the purchase price. Is that something that those companies would want to commit to long term, or just to secure new clientele? So,
yeah, and will it present a challenge in attracting the really medium size and larger presence companies that they probably need to round out that offering that they want to have?
Hi everybody, my name is Pallavi and I'm the founder of Protagonist Health. And I'm going to tell you a story today. This is Emmy's story. Emmy is a hardworking mom of two who, like many women in our lives, puts everybody else and everything else before herself. Emmy always knew that she had hereditary risks of developing chronic conditions, but it got too real when she recently visited her family physician, who told her that she has high blood pressure. She was sent home and told to make lifestyle changes and return 6 to 8 months later, at which point they would consider medications. So, as many of us do, Emmy goes home without any specific programming and Googles around. She Googles around and recognizes that she probably just needs to be a little bit more active, right? She decides that the following week she'll start going on jogs and she'll start running and she'll be active. However, she fails to follow through. And she's not alone, because about 48% of people who form intentions to be active will fail to follow through. And even fewer begin to form intentions to make positive lifestyle changes in their lives. There are several reasons for this, with a key one being low self-awareness. Remember, Emmy was just sent home without any specific programming. She's not really aware of what might work for her and what might not. There's also an element of a lack of knowledge. Emmy's confused. There's so much information on the internet, she doesn't even know where to begin. Finally, there's a sense of feeling alone. Emmy can really use help processing her risk. Introducing Protagonist Health, where we're revolutionizing the way that we see behavior change by providing personalized behavior insights. Instead of seeing behavior as this one-time thing that people sign up and they talk to you about, we see behavior as a dynamic factor that can change month to month, week to week, and even day to day. Instead of a one-time soft survey asking Emmy about her behavioral profile as well as about her personality, Emmy now gets prompts multiple times during the day to help us build out a behavioral profile that we use to build data that we then pair with physical data already available on her phones. So what we're doing is building out personal behavioral narratives that can help us provide personalized feedback loops for Emmy. The key feature for our application are these behavior loops. What we're doing is making sure that Emmy gets notifications when we know that it'll work for her. We're building a program that actually works. So now Emmy can be active and she knows that it'll work for her. Finally, we're also taking a motivation tech approach where we're aligning rewards to what Emmy's activity will look like. So if Emmy wants to be more active, she can redeem her rewards towards getting new running shoes. There's also an element of a buddy system where we pair women with similar psychographics as well as behavioral profiles to build out community support. When we look at the mHealth market, we know that it's ever growing. Just in 2021, it's estimated to be $7.44 billion in just Canada and the United States. When we pare this down to just the proportion that's dedicated to disease and treatment management, we're looking at about 26%. And given that women participate in 50% of that, we have a $1 billion market to tap into. But when we went down to our obtainable market, we decided to specifically start with hypertension to establish a niche for our application. And looking at just Canadian women and women who are already health app users, which is about 20% of the Canadian population, we arrived at a $25 million value. Our application will be subscription-based, where we charge users $15 a month. This is based off of our solution validation interview, where people said they would pay anywhere between $10 and $30 for our application. We're also tapping into data sharing as a downstream revenue stream. We'll share our data with healthcare institutions as well as with corporate partners in order to generate revenue. When we look at our competitors, there's no one quite like us. We're one of the only companies that sit at the intersection of both wellness as well as chronic care. What's more is that we're one of the only companies that's looking at behavior at a micro level. There are companies out there that are employing behavioral theories into their program. However, no one's looking at it from a day-to-day basis. Finally, we're one of the only companies on the market that's building a female-centric community. And there's a good reason for that. When we went through our problem validation interviews, we spoke to both men and women, but there were differences in the way that women perceived their risk and the things that they would talk about. Words like community, my children, domestic responsibilities were brought up far more often in those conversations. But what really locked it in for us was a quote that women have to do twice as much in less time, and there's no community, a female-centric community that I can tap into. And that's what really empowered our team to focus on women. In order to reach these women, we'll start off by taking a content marketing as well as a thought leadership approach, which we've already started, both through our website as well as our social media channels. For the remainder of the year, we want to continue building community and get our waitlist up to 500 women. Next year, we hope to get collaborations with cardiovascular programs and tap into those networks to do beta testing for our MVP, which we want to launch by mid-next year. Once we launch our MVP, we'll have further evidence for our application, as well as have beta testers that we can use to launch the full application by the end of next year. When we look at our team, we're a team built by women for women. You've met me today. I'm the founder and CEO, and my background is in e-health, where I was exposed to both the business side as well as the development side of healthcare. The approach that we're taking in building out these personalized behavior insights is also based off of my master's research, which I'm continuing. We also have Niku, who's taking a lead on all user experience and user research things. All things user research. She has a background in design that'll support our product development. Finally, we have X, who completed engineering at Waterloo, and she'll be taking care of the back-end data management as well as algorithms that we'll be developing for our application. Now it's your turn. Throw us an assist as we seek an initial investment of $15,000 that'll go towards developing our MVP. We hope through this money to generate further evidence to build out the full application, as well as generate an early revenue stream because we can charge for our MVP. We're also seeking any introductions to business advisors that you may have. Thank you so much. I hope that you'll join us on our mission to empower women to be the heroes of their own health. I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you. That was great. Can you walk through a little bit of just the kind of map of what the app will actually cover? You used the fitness example and you've talked about the community piece. What else would I be able to do in there if I was tracking things?
Yeah, so we actually built out, well, we didn't really get to go through customer journeys that really talk about what the journey will look like with the app. So initially you can see here that you're diagnosed with, hypertension. You have a couple of months before your doctor says they'll put you on medication. You go home and you kind of fail to make those changes, right? Because that's a very human thing to do. As I mentioned, 50% of people are failing to be active, for example. But when we introduce Protagonist Health, what we're introducing is insights that'll help you stick to your behavior. So we're taking an approach that's known as theory of planned behavior, where we help you by asking you about your behavior on a daily basis. So you signed up on the application, right? You'll get a prompt, right? That'll ask you how many notifications do you want to receive a day, because we want to be mindful and respectful of the way that our users want to use the app. And through those notifications, we'll actually be asking you about your affect, for example, right? Your fatigue levels, what you're up to. And we'll also enable syncing your calendar into the application so we know when the ideal time to actually prompt you would be, right? These are known as just-in-time adaptive interventions. And the idea is, instead of randomly telling people to be active, we take the data available on your phone, such as your calendar, as well as take the data that's available through the Apple Health Kit, for example, to see that, okay, this person's more likely to be active in the afternoon, so let's send them a prompt then and not bother them in the morning. So the key feature you're getting are these just-in-time adaptive interventions. The other key feature you're getting is the pairing of that behavioral data. When you think about any fitness app on your phone right now, nobody's really looking at it from a behavioral perspective, right? Everybody's telling you to log in your, how much you walked, what you're eating, but who's really asking you, how did you feel after you ate that? How did you feel after you went on that walk? So we're introducing that behavioral layer that doesn't exist in the market yet. And then the rewards program that I mentioned is another key feature. We've seen gamification been done before. A really great example of a company that used to exist actually gave you, scene points for walking. But what we want to do is build out a cohesive model. So you get points for something that you're working on, right? In case of Emmy, running shoes. So those are our key features.
Pallavi did a great job explaining Protagonist Health. They seem to be going after an interesting untouched market focused on women. I do, however, feel it's a very crowded space. There's so many habitual type apps like Noom and other that tackle this field. And would it be too difficult for them to have a woman-focused subset within their app? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, my upfront sort of concern was, I think once you start getting into changes in behavior and you finalize and set up a routine that you're being able to maintain on your own, you're going to see a drop-off in utilization of the platform, and then what happens then. So.
Yeah, definitely. And one of my first thoughts, also being in the healthcare space, was it would be really great if this could be a tool that could be prescribed, because it is for very specific use cases. So if healthcare providers are familiar with it and they actually prescribe that for a certain amount of time, maybe that's a better model and how they can differentiate themselves more from these other types of apps that are in this space.
Yeah, and dealing with chronic issues is something that costs insurance companies a lot of capital in the long run. And so, how you tap into that where they actually retain value in having healthier population under insurance.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning. My name is Chris, and I am one of the co-founders of Dahlia. Now, before we get started, I'd like to give you a heads up that I'll be a cis man talking to you about periods. Yes, those periods, and I promise you, whether you have a period or not, you'll be intrigued by our presentation. Now, you're probably wondering, how did I get here? And this is due to my beautiful girlfriend, Nikki. Last year, she bought a menstrual cup and she loved it. She told all of her friends about it. She told all of my friends about it. Honestly, she told anyone that would possibly listen about it. She explained to me how comfortable it was and how it saved her so much money, all the while reducing her environmental footprint. In fact, the same product could be used anywhere between 2 to 10 years. When we looked into it further, we found that 91% of people who had switched from using tampons to cups loved it as much or more than their previous product. Now, naturally, this led me to wonder, why don't more people use this product? Now, fast forwarding until today, after interviewing over 40 women, we've identified these 3 prohibitive factors. Number 1, the cup size was intimidating. Number 2, the insertion and removal was not very intuitive. And number 3, frankly, some people found it messy and gross. And this is where my background in biomedical discovery and commercialization kicked in. I thought, what if we combined the utility of a menstrual cup with the familiarity of a tampon. And thus, the duo was born, a new menstrual product that has a menstrual cup loaded into a tampon-like applicator that assists in both the insertion and removal of the cup. So this product is a two-part product. The cup is a redesigned cup that we've worked with an anatomy expert to make the most comfortable and have the most optimized fit, and a novel applicator system that assists in the insertion and removal of the cup while maintaining the same form factor and size as a traditional tampon. Now, this allows current tampon users a new user-friendly way to try using menstrual cups and have a more cost-effective and environmentally friendly product while giving current cup users a more comfortable and convenient product. Now, for the folks in the audience that don't menstruate, let me tell you why all of this matters. Now, it's no surprise that the feminine hygiene industry is massive. Now, the global market for all feminine hygiene products in 2020 was estimated at around $20.9 billion. The tampon market in 2020 was estimated at $4.19 billion, and the menstrual cup market in 2018 was estimated around $632 million. However, that's projected to grow to nearly $1 billion by 2026. Now, naturally, the next question is, why do we think that we can be successful in this industry? The answer is simple. No other cup company on the market focuses on the prohibitive factors that prevent tampon users from trying menstrual cups. Our product was designed with both tampon users in mind and cup users in mind to create what we believe to be the perfect menstrual product. Now, our product will be sold for $65 Canadian with an $11 Canadian production cost to people between the ages of 16 to 40 that are currently tampon or cup users, primarily via our website and eventually in retailers such as pharmacies. Now, pertaining to our go-to-market strategy, once prototyping is complete, we'll plan to do initial intellectual property filing for Canada, the United States, and Europe. Now, in North America, our product is classified as a Class 2 medical device, whereas in Europe, our product is a general consumer product. So as such, we won't need the same regulatory approval as in North America, so no FDA or Health Canada filing for Europe. So in Europe, we're planning to do an initial product launch to gain traction and also finance the regulatory process domestically in North America. Now, why do we believe that we can be the perfect team? Now, our background speaks for itself as far as my co-founder Bindi and I, we both work in the medical devices field for one of the largest healthcare companies in the world. Bindi's background is in both mechanical and biomedical engineering, and my background in biomedical discovery and commercialization. Now, we believe that we have the perfect product at the perfect time. We've received great feedback on our idea, but we desperately need funds to create our prototype to have real hands-on user validation. We have the perfect product, the perfect market, and with your help, I believe that we can usher in a new era in menstrual health. Thank you very much, and I open the floor to questions.
Thanks. I'm really curious, how does the applicator actually help to extract the cup?
Sure.
Have you figured that out?
So we're currently refining that process. It's actually a bit involved.
Mm-hmm.
We have a few different cup designs. So we're making a cup that is compatible with the removal mechanism, and it'll have, I wouldn't be able to go into great details because we haven't had our patent filings yet, okay. But the actual removal mechanism will attach onto the cup. It'll help break the suction seal and remove all in one concerted process.
So is the applicator something that can be reused and one could just buy the consumable of a cup again?
So the cup is something that you would use. You can reuse that for between 2 to 10 years. It's something that you clean regularly, and the applicator is also intended to have the same lifespan as well.
Where do you expect to do your manufacturing?
Sure. So for the UK launch, we wanted to outsource the manufacturing. We were able to price the actual machine that we would need, but because the larger market is in North America, we wanted to do our primary manufacturing in North America once we have the FDA and Health Canada approval. But for the initial product launch in the UK, it would be outsourcing the manufacturing, at least for that time being. And then also the largest markets as a whole is North America and Europe. So if we can be in both areas, it'll make it a little bit easier.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And from a patent perspective, what have you seen that is out there, and what do you think are your barriers from an intellectual property standpoint?
Sure, that's a great question. So as far as applicators for menstrual cups, there are a couple utility patents that are similar. However, there are no utility patents for the removal mechanism. It's a hard concept. And right now, the cup design and the actual removal mechanism are likely going to work in tandem. So what we're hoping to do is, if we are able to raise the funds that we need, once that final prototype is complete, we want to submit our US provisional so that we can have our priority date on our patent, so that at least if there are any other competitors that are coming in later on, we have the priority date, and then also it'll be the first patent in this area. So if we have it written well, we may be able to exclude much of the competition from coming in later on.
And what will your go-to-market strategy be? Are you going to sell direct, or are you going to be on every drugstore shelf in North America and the UK?
Well, the plan initially is to do direct through our website. Part of that is we want to make sure, in our customer validation, we found that there was a lot of confusion and misinformation about how to use menstrual cups, how they work. So we wanted to be able to direct users from their initial contact with our business to the website, so that we can assist them in finding appropriate sizing, all the information that they need, all the questions that they need, and having the purchase be on the website, we believe might be the most optimal solution for that. But eventually, the largest industry players right now, they're all in stores, and that's where we want to go eventually. But ideally, if we can channel through the website, that would be great.
And in your early validation work you're going to do with users, what are some of the key things that are going to convince you that this is the right product now to invest in more finalized production?
Sure. So to be quite honest, when we did our initial validation, we were optimistic that people would like the idea, but we received overwhelmingly positive feedback from everyone that we've spoken to. For the most part, I think it was around 96% of the people that we've spoken to said that, this is a product that I think I would try, or this is something that I'm really, really interested in, because there is a lot of confusion about, how to use it properly. So something that is intuitive, kind of straightforward, that can, it's not very complicated to understand how it works, rather. What we've seen, a lot of people would be interested in at least trying it out.
So I found Dahlia really interesting because there's so much conversation right now around period poverty and accessibility of products, affordability, everything like that. As someone who could be a target user myself, I found their concept very interesting and something that I would want to consider. So this one actually resonated a lot with me, but I'm curious what each of you guys thought.
I'm personally biased. Being a medical device company ourselves, I think I see a lot of value in building technology that's tangible from an IP perspective. They were able to communicate at least some avenues where they demonstrate potential, where creating that barrier will translate into a return on investment and real benefit to customers. So I find that really motivating.
I think it's interesting to see an industry where they innovated to a new yet very old technology, really a menstrual cup, and now they're taking it another mile down the road, so to speak, with new features and attributes. And I think that that's really interesting, and I think it will help expand the market. I think they have a little bit of work to do potentially on pricing and what the market will accept and how much people want to pay for the product, and whether they can get into line as they move to larger and larger manufacturing quantities.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel they've priced high compared to some of the other products in the market. And additionally, they might be underestimating the educating of the market.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Michelle Ragany, and I'm from Kinisi Technologies. Today I'm excited to be here to present what we have as a company to provide to the rowing athlete. But before I jump into the content, I want to introduce you to the life of a rower. We rise at dawn, chill in the air, hitting the water with our crews in the morning, gliding through water, making every stroke count. But there's a whole other side to rowing that not many people know, because what we do on water is just as important as to what we do on land. Ergometer training is key to allow rowers to perform at their peak and build strength that they can then transfer to their boats. And when it comes to ergometer training, posture is key for performance and staying in the sport we love for a longer period of time.
So, posture is really key to the sport of rowing, and it not only impacts longevity in the sport, but also overall performance. I myself have experienced postural pain that has removed me from the sport itself. And when we interviewed our users and our potential customers, we found that 65% of them also agree that they experience pain due to poor posture while rowing. So, what exactly is the solution that we're offering? Kinisi Technologies will offer a wearable device called Coxon that the user will wear on their mid to lower back, and this will be worn and connected via Bluetooth to the phone application that will be on their device. And what we're providing with this to the athlete is an increase in their performance because they're more aware of their posture. They're going to be able to have data analytics to show them how and when they can improve. And also, they're going to be able to train independently, more confidently, whenever they would like. So here, what I'd like to show you is this rowing clip that you can see here. When we pause it here, you can see poor posture versus good posture in the lower clip. And here once more, you can see the curvature in the back as opposed to the straight back. So Kinisi Technologies with the Coxon device will send a vibration notification to the wearer when their posture is not becoming straight anymore and they need a reminder to once again sit up straight on the erg to again boost their performance and decrease postural related injuries. And here you can see an application that will provide the analytics following the workout to the athlete so they can see how they did, they can compare their results to previous ones, and also find different ways that they can improve in future rowing pieces. Moving into now what we're offering. So we're going to have as our streams of revenue 3 different things: the Coxon device, the application at a basic and premium model, and then lastly a warranty for the Coxon device if the user chooses to purchase it. We're also going to have our sales channels that are going to be through online, through our Kinisi Technologies website, regatta booths, so those are where the athletes are actually competing on water, and we'll go and host a booth there to interact and conduct sales, and lastly, through regatta stores that specialize in rowing. So moving into our market opportunity here, you can see that in our first 3 years of sales, we'll have a market opportunity of 10 million. And this is looking at the Canadian market, specifically those athletes that are registered rowers with rowing organizations in Canada, and then narrowing that even further down based on the results that we received from individuals of a positive reception rate towards purchasing the Coxon device and Kinisi Technologies application. We then move into a quick analysis of our competitors or alternative solutions in the market. So here you can see 776BC. They offer rowing technologies, however, they're not analytic focused, and they don't allow for independence because they require infrastructural setups such as cameras and different things like that that prevent you from being able to move from space to space freely. Coaches are a traditional method, of course, but that relies on someone being with you there in person and doesn't allow you to then train by yourself in a more isolated scenario. We then move into upright, which focuses primarily on just leisure movements, so not athletic based. And of course, lastly is Xsense, and they focus specifically on team. So you can see that Kinisi Technologies is the only one offering a technology that is unique to the rowing segment to provide analytics, freedom, and overall confidence. Now I'd like to introduce you to the team because I'm only one of 3 co-founders at Kinisi Technologies. My primary role is to focus on the technological development from the hardware aspect, so the Coxon device. Our co-founder, Nazli Bostandoust, focuses on the application interface and how we can bring that to life and appropriately calculate and communicate the algorithm and findings that the Coxon device finds. And lastly, Ruben Biack focuses primarily on the competitive and IP analysis so we can understand where we can position ourselves in the market. So of course, why we're here today. So we're here today for the $15,000 ask. So this would allow us to move through our POC and MVP phase in order to have our final Coxon device, and also move partially into the manufacturing phase, which would allow us to cover any pre-sales that we have starting in January 2022 into the summer months. So I'd like to thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Might you share where we're at on the development of the technology?
Yes, absolutely.
So I do have a slide here that can help a bit. So this is the overall view of the system architecture at a very, very low level, so not a, or at a high level, pardon me, not a low level. And here you can see that there's several components that we're working through for Kinisi Technologies. At this stage, what we have done is we have used different sorts of supplements to data collection. We'll be using sensors. So we've used supplementary sensors in order to see how we can detect good versus poor posture. So we've completed those analyses, also looked at literature review, and we have purchased sensors, being primarily the Bosch sensor, that will then be starting to explore more during that POC MVP phase so that we can actually put it together and see how that sensor would interact with the movement. We also have started the application. So we do have a preview of it, which you did see on the prior slide. If I just go back to this one here. So we have actually built out a demo model of it that is able to have an interactive user face. So we're partway there of getting towards our MVP, and we're just starting to fine tune and look for additional resources so that we can get to that stage.
Now, the market size, it seemed, was relatively small. Are there other markets that you can see this moving into?
Absolutely. So we do have an opportunity. I'm going backwards. So we do have an opportunity to go into different markets along our journey as Kinisi. So as I mentioned, in the first 3 years, we're only focusing on Canadian market of those that are competitive registered rowers. We have the opportunity to expand to the greater Canadian market, US market, Europe, of course. And not only can we expand within those individuals that are registered competitive rowers, we can also tap into the market of those that identify themselves as leisure-based rowers or fitness-based rowers. So they use ergometer training for fitness purposes, such as very commonly used in something like CrossFit, for example. And then we also, outside the scope of rowing, have an opportunity to expand into other sports that posture is key for. So another sport we're looking at, for example, is cycling, because posture is really important there as well. And that would allow us to, again, scale our market size.
And the value of this improved posture, is it just for medical reasons, so the longevity of the actual athlete, or does it actually improve performance as well?
So we aren't a company that's focusing on the medical market per se. That's something that we're not necessarily going to delve into right now. What we're offering the athlete is increased performance and just longevity and well-being in the sport. So we are staying out of that medical aspect right now with our current stage. But what we are able to kind of ascertain is through the literature reviews and literature findings, there is a clear correlation between good posture and performance. And through that, being able to provide analytics and notifications on that movement would then support the athlete to improve. So there is literature that does support this concept.
So I found Kinisi really interesting because I've personally been thinking a lot about my own posture and how that can be affected by, of course, our lifestyles right now being so sedentary, but then translating that into an athletic use. So I'm really intrigued by it, but I had a couple concerns. One of them being, with that testing, when it's actually being used in rowing, you're moving so much. Is that band going to stay in place, or is that going to be something that needs to be rethought? And then secondly, of course, we're Canadian companies. We love to start within the Canadian market, but would there be faster adoption by going after, say, some rowing clubs in the US? So question it a little bit, but I do think there's a lot of potential here, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, I felt a lot of confidence in Michelle, especially when she talked about, the biggest challenge or fear they have is, getting the product wrong, at that first entry point. And the last thing you want is come into the market with something that is, half-baked and then be rejected. And when you're dealing in a much more sophisticated, more athletic, sort of professional, potentially, marketplace, that becomes a devastating problem. So the fact that they're aware of that now and take the time to implement that in the development is a great sign.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I am going to reinitiate our presentation here.
So we're live now?
We are live, Gay.
All right.
All
Thanks.
right.
So hope you all enjoyed that. I just wanted to say in my rush to get the show going, I totally forgot to recognize and thank all of the Forge mentors, advisors, and reviewers who gave their time and expertise to all the entrepreneurs throughout the challenges this summer. We at the Forge and the startups very much appreciate your help to build their businesses. So thank you very much. Also, we recognize that many of you in the audience are here in the middle of midterms, and I know I can speak for myself. I'm very zoomed out. So we'd like to say thank you for attending today and supporting the Forge community. So for those of you who are still here, we have randomly drawn 3 names of the attendees to give away prizes. You have your choice of either Tim Hortons gift card or Forge, the other Forge, FC tickets, 2 tickets to their games later this month, I think. And so without further ado, 3 award winners, Namita Patel, Iman Bhutto, and Amrit Claire. Alina from the Forge will be in touch with you by email to kind of figure out logistics of all of that. So thanks very much for coming.
And with that, without further ado, we're going to get into some awards. I don't know about you, Gay. I'm sweating.
Yep.
It's been a long road with these guys. So and also you know, quite a deliberation from our judges, from what I've been told. So why don't you get right into it with the bonus challenge?
I will. But before we do that, because I let the audience know, the winners don't actually even know who won yet. So I'm going to prolong this as much as possible.
Ooh.
So consider this a commercial break. So I'd like to, just before we give out or announce the award winners, I'd like to commend all 10 survivor companies that worked so hard throughout the summer on all of the challenges to help grow their businesses. So AI Lights, Aiden, Kyle, Shervin, Allegiant, Sean, Natasha, Ahmed, Dahlia, Chris, and Bindi, Grounded Collective, Gurkeerat, Kitshare, Oksana, Ali, and Ali, Kinisi, Michelle, Nazli, Ruben, Misley, Jong, PhosphoSens, Vinay, Protagonist Health, Pallavi, Niku, and Shoyan, and Technopic, Anastasia. So now we can announce.
Let's do it. So Gay, do you want to introduce the award then?
Sure. So the bonus challenge award, in addition to the challenges that Riley and Marissa made up for these guys to do throughout, we also had them do additional tasks and activities. So this is above and beyond the challenges they had to do. And so the bonus points were awarded for those. And 3 companies actually tied.
We got a tie.
So we're giving all of them $500 each.
Yay.
Dahlia, Grounded Collective, and Kinisi Technologies. Congratulations.
Good job, guys. You get a little bit of extra cash there. All right. Our next award.
Next award, Social Buzz Award. So one of the challenges, Message in a Bottle, had the companies trying to build up their brand and get a social and online media presence. And so the one that did the best on this challenge was Grounded Collective.
Yay, Gurkeerat, way to go.
Well done, Gurkeerat.
All right. Nice work. Moving on.
And now, 3rd place and $5,000. And as Riley said, I'm making this super long for everyone. As Riley said, the judges had a really hard time in choosing all the winners. They said everyone did a great job, and Faisal, who I think might have had to step out, but Faisal said he was interested in investing all of you. But anyways.
Note to self, go and ask him for money.
So 3rd place goes to?
Drum roll, everyone. And by the way, make sure to come up on and say a few words if you're the winner.
Yep.
Kinisi Technologies. Michelle, unmute yourself and say a few things.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. This is really exciting. I just want to say thank you so much on behalf of myself, as well as the other 2 co-founders, Nazli and Ruben, who are here today as well. We're very appreciative for having had this opportunity. And of course, it was lovely seeing everyone else's pitches as well and getting to know all of you over the course of the Startup Survivor program. So thank you once more, and thank you very much.
Woohoo! Big money. All right. All right, Gay, you ready for the next one?
Second place, $9,000. goes
Ready for
to
this?
PhosphoSens.
PhosphoSens.
Congratulations, Vinay.
Bringing phosphorus testing to everyone in North America. You want to say something, Vinay?
Thank you, everyone. And I just want to say thank you. Throughout the journey, I've learned a lot from the group itself. Like, people have done great job in their presentations. I've seen pitches today. And like overall, a lot of people have helped me during the competition. And I think so they'll be helping me after also. So thank you, everyone.
Good job, Vinay. You earned it, brother. All right. This is for all the marbles, Gay.
This is. I'm
Right.
excited now.
Ooh.
So, and last but not least, obviously, this is why we have our crowning our Forge Startup Survivor with $15,000 to go to build up their business. It's going to Dahlia.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations, Chris and
Chris,
Bindi.
you're rich, man.
Wow. Thank you so much. I mean, if Bindi, I think if Bindi was able to speak, I think he would share the same level of excitement. But thank you all so very, very much. We couldn't be more grateful for this opportunity with the Forge. I know that I've expressed this personally to Riley and Marissa, but we went into this experience hoping to gain a bit of guidance, and we never realized how much we would have gained as far as all of the initial level guidance that we needed, the network that we were able to develop, meeting all of the teams with amazing ideas. From the first day when Bindi and I discussed, every single team had strong ideas. They had great co-founders, and it was an absolute pleasure to work with everyone throughout this process. Thank you so much again.
All right. And I expect to see applications from all of these teams for our next incubator cohort, which we're going to be, the application is going to be coming out in November. So keep your eyes peeled. We're definitely going to remind you about this, but you guys are all, amazing quality companies. And I look forward to working with you more as we move forward. And I throw it over to Gay for the final word here.
Thank you, Riley, and thank you so much for everything you've done for these startup companies. I know everyone really appreciated your hard work and Marissa's hard work and Alina's and everyone else at the Forge. So we do have another like 20-ish minutes to do some networking. But before we kind of leave the stage here, I just wanted to say thank you once again, everyone, for coming. And I hope that next year we will do this in person and be that much more exciting. And we're going to fly everyone out to like some remote island to do this. But watch out for announcements of next year's Survivor Survivor competition. So
all right, guys,
at the tables.
Get back to networking, okay? Enjoy the rest of your evenings.